I type almost every day.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're looking at objects, places, or concepts that aren't commonplace today, and which many kids probably wouldn't recognize immediately.
Anscomatic projects them, clear and sharp. And Anscomatic runs itself, or with the remote control, you can control your slides from anywhere in the room.
Number 30, hanging up.
Good night, Richard.
Oh, this isn't Rich.
While the concept of hanging up a phone is something kids are obviously familiar with, how many of them understand that the term used to have a literal meaning? Before smartphones, we all had dial and rotary phones, which required us to put the handset back on the body of the phone in order to end the call. And if we want to go back even farther, older rotary phones would literally require one to hang the receiver back on the device to finish a call. But perhaps the biggest thing kids today will never experience is the feeling of release that comes from angrily slamming down the receiver to end a call. Tapping that hang-up button just doesn't provide the same satisfaction.
God damn it, Tony!
Number 29, Slide Projector. The first question some of you probably have is, what is a slide and why would I want to project it? To answer that question, we have to go back to a time before smartphones, back even before digital cameras.
Its wide-angle lens shows your slides big and bright in full color.
Back to a time when we put a roll of film into a camera and then took that roll to have it developed. Besides printing out photographs, you could also turn those images into slides, which were small mounted transparency versions of your photos.
You can control your slides from anywhere in the room, at any speed you choose.
And why would you do this? Well, that way you could, with the help of a slide projector, project your photos onto a wall or large screen and bore a large group of people with your vacation photos.
Turn it off!
Number 28, Transistor Radio. These days, the only connection most of us have with even the term transistor radio comes from listening to Brown Eyed Girl on the Sirius XM oldie station. Invented in the 1950s, transistor radios were revolutionary because they switched from the old vacuum tube technology. This allowed them to be made smaller, more portable, more durable, and mass marketable. The truth is that if you see a radio these days, it's probably a transistor radio. Although a non-digital standalone radio in the wild would probably feel like a museum piece to the younger generation. Number 27, microfiche. Listen up, kiddos. There was a time when the internet didn't exist, when you couldn't find anything you wanted with a quick Google search. Back then, when you wanted to look at old newspapers or archived documents, your best option was something called microfilm and microfiche. Often found at libraries, these teeny tiny scaled-down document reproductions were viewable using a special projector or microfiche reader.
He's no dummy, that's big bucks.
And as 90s movie fans will tell you, microfilm played a key role in helping people solve various mysteries in films from that era. Number 26, Sanitary belt. Okay, so this one isn't just something kids won't recognize, but there are going to be plenty of adults confused by this thing too. In fact, unless you're a woman who came of age prior to the 1980s, sanitary belts were probably never a part of your life experience. And you should probably be very happy about that. You see, sanitary belts were what women used before tampons and pads came into being. It was a literal elastic band with hanging clips in the front and back, to which one would attach a towel or pad passed between their legs. You can figure out the rest. Number 25, payphones. While mobile phones have pretty much taken over our lives, every now and then we still see someone with a landline. But seeing an actual payphone in the wild? Now that must be a truly shocking experience for the younger generation. Not only are these phones attached to a specific location without a touchscreen or apps, but you have to actually deposit money into them for them to work.
Excuse me. I'm trying to make a call here.
And they don't even take Apple Pay. Back in 2002, the film Phone Booth lamented the disappearance of payphones. So imagine how they must look to kids today, over 20 years later. Number 24, traveler's checks. When it comes to traveling, there are some things that have not changed since the last century. We still need to pack clothes and toiletries and make sure we have our passports. However, back in the day, another important item on our pre-vacation checklist was get traveler's checks.
In Hong Kong and in hundreds of other cities, you can find help with American Express traveler's checks.
Before everyone had a credit and debit card and ATMs were everywhere, traveler's checks were the go-to money option for visits to foreign countries. They were as good as cash and were guaranteed if lost or stolen.
And it can't be used until you sign your name again here when you cash it.
It was a way to take larger sums of cash with you without having to carry lots of dollar bills.
American Express traveler's checks. Don't leave home without them.
These days, the idea of physical cash is shocking enough to the young folks, let alone these archaic traveler's checks. Number 23, typewriter. While there are still those who love typewriters like Tom Hanks and John Mayer, it's safe to say that they aren't as popular as they were before the personal computer hit the market.
I've tried to foster a community of typewriting people.
However, we aren't saying that kids today wouldn't recognize a typewriter if one was put in front of them. But whether they knew what it was or not, how many of them do you think would know how to actually use one? Not only do you have to insert the paper yourself, but when you make a spelling mistake, the typewriter doesn't even underline it in red to let you know.
But listen to the solidity of the action. This is a solid piece of machine.
Number 22, manual car windows. It's true, there was a time when you couldn't just push a button to open a car window. You had to grab onto a crank-like handle on the inside of the door and use actual arm muscles to turn it around and around until the window was as open as you wanted it to be.
Crank down the windows and take off.
And while to some that may seem as ancient as churning your own butter, manual windows have not been gone that long. Even into the early aughts, many manufacturers were offering both automatic and manual window options on their automobiles.
Every time I released the clutch pedal, my knee hit the window crank handle.
Number 21, record adapter. While the hipster revolution brought records and record players back into the pop culture scene, both those items are probably still somewhat unknown commodities to young kids these days. But even if records are popular again, record adapters are certainly odd-looking things to most folks under a certain age. Throughout the history of the record, there have been 78 RPM, 45 RPM, and 33 RPM records available. But the holes in records made to be played at 45 RPM were larger than those of 78 or 33 RPM records. These adapters were necessary to play them on your standard record player. Now, why the holes were different sizes in the first place is a whole other question. Number 20, Palm Pilots, PDAs. Personal digital assistants, or PDAs, were essentially the first smartphones, only you couldn't call or text or surf the internet. Okay, let us explain.
Get some work done. Plan lunch.
If you wanted to do complex computing on the go, Palm Pilots were where it was at. They allowed you to store contact info, plan calendars, send and receive emails, write up documents, computer stuff.
We just having a little Christmas party tonight. Why don't you and your lady come on through, man? Hang out with us and our folks.
Let me check my Palm Pilot.
The most popular of these devices were Palm Pilots, which pretty much dominated the market. They were absolutely everywhere in the late 90s.
For phone numbers, addresses, keep appointments, everything.
Wow.
It's got an alarm that beeps.
But with the advent of smartphones, PDAs generally fell by the wayside. And even their attempts at smartphone versions couldn't compete with the likes of iPhones or Androids. Unless their parents are tech buffs, we doubt today's kids have even heard of them.
Nice. Turn it off.
Right, I think it's this.
No, it's the button. Elaine, it's the button at the top.
Okay.
Number 19, paper maps. Yes, kids can probably tell what a map is, but hear us out. The ubiquity of apps like Apple Maps, Google Maps, and MapQuest has made paper maps nearly obsolete.
If there's a place you gotta go, I'm the one you need to know. I'm the map.
While kids today probably know what they are, they might be hard-pressed to actually read one if the need arose.
Which way are we supposed to go? That way.
Online maps can not only be optimized to filter in and out information, but they also feature directions and routes overlaid right on the screen, all read out by that sweet, accommodating Siri lady.
Make a right turn.
Wait. No. It means bear right.
No,
up there.
It said right. It said take a right.
If you've ever had to navigate using a physical road map, especially if you're lost, you definitely know all about the unique joys that come with it. Number 18, mail order Netflix. Netflix is everywhere these days. It's one of the biggest streaming services on the planet.
They just put all of Smallville on Netflix. But Abby, promise me you'll watch from the beginning, okay? It really builds.
But what many children today may not know is that Netflix began as a DVD delivery service. For a monthly fee, Netflix mails DVDs to your home in these letter-sized red sleeves.
This had no late fees. You know, it was nice and easy and simple.
When I see that new red envelope in the mail, it brings a sense of joy inside.
That's in present tense, by the way, because they still do it. For people who don't have access to internet fast enough to stream, this is a pretty great option. And for kids whose families do have access to high-speed internet, they probably have no clue about this side of the company or its origins.
You know, you get your DVD, shows up in your mailbox, and you have as much time as you want to watch it, so it's really on your schedule.
Number 17, church keys. Keys to a church, right? Kids can figure that one out, so what are we talking about? Not so fast, though. Church key is an American term for an older type of bottle opener. One end typically has a large loop for opening bottles, sort of like the large loops on old-fashioned keys.
Twist off, twist off! Twist off!
And sometimes there's a piercer on the other end of these bottle openers, which is useful for opening cans. If your family is comprised of avid soda or beer drinkers, there's a good chance there's one of these still lying around in a junk drawer somewhere. And there's a good chance it's completely foreign to the little ones in the house. Number 16, Rolodexes. Personal organizers are still around, sorta.
Hey Siri, show me my life goals list.
I found 10 reminders.
While kids typically use school agendas, most adults keep organized with their favorite handheld device. Rolodexes, on the other hand, have largely spun out of use. It was a spinning card organizer that held business cards or other contact info that you could flip through to easily find the contact you needed.
I know, I'm really running out of excuses with this guy. I need some kind of excuse Rolodex.
It was sort of like a phone book, but with a lot more pizzazz. At least it was until digital organizers took over. You might come across one of these organizers in the odd workplace, but for the most part, the term Rolodex just isn't something kids need in their Rolodex. Number 15, test pattern. Test patterns, or test cards, were signals broadcast on television where the transmitter was active but there was no footage airing. They might sometimes have been used if something needed calibration or general repairing.
Always use fresh macaroni. If the box rattles, throw it away.
In most cases, these were brightly colored and usually accompanied by a sine wave tone. If you're sitting there thinking, I'm not sure what a sine wave tone is, trust us, you do. These days, with the ever-evolving advances in technology, test patterns aren't broadcast as frequently.
The Videodrome signal, the one that does the damage, it can be delivered under a test pattern, anything.
TVs don't require troubleshooting as often, and airtime is more likely to be filled 24/7. While today's kids might recognize the display of a test pattern as meaning something is wrong, they won't ever hold our trauma for that seemingly endless radio tone.
What this thing needs is what we call a Brogan adjustment.
What's that? You know how?
Yep.
Number 14, wired video game controllers. Again, we're fairly sure that most kids can figure out what a video game controller is, even with a wire sticking out of it. But they definitely won't know the pain of perpetually tangled wires. Modern video game controllers are gearing increasingly towards being wireless, in favor of relying on battery power and infrared or Bluetooth, as opposed to plugging directly into the game console. It honestly wouldn't surprise us if game companies stopped making wired controllers altogether at some point.
The kick is away and the game is on!
While retro consoles would likely still require them, there probably won't be a lot of demand for them from kids growing up on modern gaming alone. Nostalgia is nice, but not having to untangle wires is nicer. Number 13, cassette tapes.
Hey, I had the show of my life last night. I ad-libbed like 10 new minutes.
Yeah, but did you tape it?
While nostalgia and some help from Guardians of the Galaxy has promoted the recent revival of cassette tapes, there are many in the newer generation who didn't get to experience them the first time around.
What's that?
Walkman. Looks like a stereo. Play your own cassette tapes. You want to try?
Before CDs, cassette tapes were the go-to medium for playing audio. They work a lot like VHS tapes, which kids actually do know about. At least that's what they told us on our last list like this. Cassette tapes play music and other recordings in a cassette player, and then need to be rewound, physically, to be played again.
$3.49, it says $1.49.
Well, you didn't rewind it, there's a $2 charge for not rewinding.
There's no
signs here. This is an outrage. George.
While they've largely been replaced by the modern smartphone, there's still something special about a classic mixtape.
Listen, baby.
Number 12. Library card catalogs. Libraries in general are sadly seeing less and less traffic, but one aspect of their operation has also become nearly obsolete: card catalogs. Before computer databases, records of the library's contents were kept in huge drawers full of cards. These listed all the books in the library and where they were located.
Okay, Bart, this is the card catalog. Let's see. Golf, anecdotes, Eisenhower and fashion, humor, Japanese obsession with.
Finding a specific book almost always meant getting help from the librarian.
You did start that rumor about Ross making out with Mrs. Altman, our 50-year-old librarian.
While card catalogs are still around, either as a backup or in lieu of a computer database, most kids probably don't know what they are, unless they're in good with their local librarian.
I saw you guys going at it behind the card catalog.
Number 11. CD/DVD storage binders. While CDs and DVDs are themselves becoming less common these days, even less well known to youngsters is one of the methods for storing them. Binders, but not your school kind. These binders have sleeves, a little like photo albums, which the discs are slipped inside. They can also be zipped shut around the border to keep the CDs or DVDs from falling out. It was a more compact way to store your music and movies than, say, hundreds of individual sleeves. Although storage binders are still around, the average kid doesn't really have a need for them anymore. Their movies and music are mere clicks away. Video game discs might be the worthy exception, though. Number 10. Phone books.
What?
More?
Hey, man. You got a serious attitude problem.
Quick, think of your friend's phone number. Did you know it right away? Probably not, because these days, names and numbers are in our contact lists, and a phone call is a push of a button away. Gone are the days when you actually had to hunt down the person you wanted to call by finding his or her city and his or her last name in the phone book.
When you need to know who, what, where, when, and why, let your fingers do the walking through the Bell System Yellow Pages.
You also had to look up businesses rather than Google the name and follow the phone number.
Soon Fat Chinese Takeaway. 728-9630. Do we not need area codes? Or are there others probably no area codes so they don't call these?
In fact, it seems like these days, phone books are more often used as fodder to show off your inhuman strength than anything else.
Come on, you're stronger than me. What, you gonna let me show you up on television?
You want to get whacked in the head with a phone book?
Number 9. TV guides. The TV guide. Yeah, even watching TV used to involve a lot more effort, as you had to look up each specific day, find out what was playing, what channel it was on, and plan your schedule accordingly.
The fun, all the shows A to Z and the facts. What's behind what you see?
Before the internet, pirating and streaming services were not around to allow access to whatever shows and movies you wanted whenever you wanted them. Not to mention that now, cable boxes come with a guide that's just a push of a button away.
Record up to 6 shows at the same time. Plus, you can record in one room and watch in another.
Too bad, though. We kind of liked seeing which celebrity was on the cover of this week's issue.
The stars, underneath all the glow and the news, from the people who know.
Number 8. Rotary phones.
What's the very first thing you'd have to do to use that phone?
I have no idea.
We're going way back for this one. Even before push-button phones, there were rotary dial phones. They featured a finger wheel with holes that represented individual numbers. To input a number, you would put your finger in the corresponding hole and rotate the dial, which would then spring back to its starting point.
For convenience in dialing, the letters go around the dial in alphabetical order, and the numbers are in numerical order.
Now, imagine doing that again and again for every digit in someone's phone number. Unsurprisingly, they started going out of style in the 1970s, when touch-tone phones took their place.
Touch-tone service gives you faster calling and future technology like banking by phone.
While there's something tactile and satisfying about spinning that dial, it is definitely time-consuming and a lot less convenient.
There was a rotor, and you had to turn it and go.
You actually hated people with zeros in their numbers.
Number 7. Encyclopedias. Kids today may wonder what that row of identical Bible-sized books titled Britannica are doing on their grandparents' shelves. For those of us who didn't grow up with the internet, we know all too well.
Well, what else you got in there?
Let's see, where does the Pope live?
In the woods. No, wait, that's the joke answer.
Before the internet, books were the best and only standardized form of information we had. While many of us today use Wikipedia, the website is the humble descendant of encyclopedias far and wide. Although encyclopedias are still around, print versions are far less common than they once were.
Dean Smith also says you're an encyclopedia of football. Where does that come from?
A what?
An encyclopedia of football.
I don't know what that means.
Even Britannica has moved online. And you definitely won't see them being sold door to door anymore.
For $50 you can get one book. What'll it be? A, B, C?
I think I'm gonna stick with the V. I wanna see how this bad boy turns out.
Number 6. Pagers, aka beepers.
You got him? Hey, yo, find the phone real quick. So, look like my man D got himself an emergency.
Until the early 90s, there were tons of different pagers on the market. But once cheap and reliable cell phones came along, these wireless telecommunication devices all went the way of the dinosaurs.
You can switch off, Elijah.
I wish I could. I've been waiting for a phone call for 7 years.
Which, funnily enough, is what you'll be called if you still use one. Alphanumeric pagers simply displayed a phone number that you had to call back, while more advanced ones like the two-way QWERTY pagers could send and receive early forms of text messages.
Stay in touch without disturbing anyone with two-way paging and email from SkyTel.
Number 5. Portable audio players, Walkman and Discman.
Sony introduces the only cassette player as small as a cassette case. The incredible sounding Super Walkman.
Walking down the street with one of these bad boys brought an instant feeling of cool. Looking back, well, hindsight is 20/20. A Walkman or Discman is a portable audio player, with the former for cassettes and the latter for CDs, that would sometimes fit in your pocket.
I could just imagine you guys like 13-year-olds just like, thug life represent.
If we're talking a Walkman, then we'd have to deal with turning over the cassette tapes once you'd reach the end of one side.
So today you can fit thousands of songs on a phone, but on a cassette you could only fit up to about 30 songs.
I feel bad for the people that lived in the 90s. I really do.
When it comes to a Discman, it would seem that it always started skipping at the most inopportune times because, well, they sucked. In reality, these portable music players were usually bulky and inconvenient. And there was no shuffle on a cassette, so you better have made a really good mixtape. You darn kids with your 128 gig iPods and phones.
I take this in a heartbeat now. I'd want my phone.
Number 4. Fax machines, telecopiers. Ask anyone born after 1990 if they've ever owned or even just used a fax machine, and the answer will probably be a resounding no.
How lovely, darling. What is it?
It's a fax machine, Mother. You can send us letters by phone.
Faxes, short for facsimiles, and sometimes referred to as telecopying or telefax, are images transmitted through a phone line and then printed out. Prior to the rise of email, fax machines were the fastest way of transmitting printed information over long distances. Although fax machines still see some use in the business world, to a lot of kids today, they probably just look like a printer with a phone mysteriously attached.
Boyle, why don't you show Donger what a fax machine is?
Okay, imagine a letter had unprotected sex with a phone.
Number 3. Developing photographic film. Even today, there's a lot of people who love shooting on film.
Wait a minute, isn't this thing even on?
But digital cameras definitely dominate the market.
But first, let me take a selfie.
For some kids, used to pointing and shooting and sharing their photos straight away, it must seem bizarre that back in the day you'd have to choose your shots carefully to avoid wasting film and then wait for them to be developed. And you wouldn't know how your pictures turned out until you got them back. Only then would you realize that the flash or some other setting had ruined half your masterpieces.
4 full-power flashes in one tiny cube.
Number 2. Dial-up internet access.
Now that I've gotten on the internet, I'd rather be on my computer than doing just about anything.
It's really cool.
Isn't it amazing that you can watch this video in HD without having to suffer through buffering or having to make a sandwich while it loaded? Yep, this was absolutely not possible in the 1990s. Thanks, broadband.
Now, let's look up dinosaurs. What do you think, Compton's Encyclopedia or National Geographic?
Back in the day, though, we once had dial-up internet access, which would make an awful mechanical noise when it connected to an internet service provider and would be painfully slow when you actually got online.
No, I wanted to pay for dial-up modem impression classes, see?
And God forbid your mom needed the phone, because if she did, it was back to TV for you. As of 2013, only 3% of internet users still use dial-up.
Once selected, close your eyes and relax to the soothing, familiar sounds of a 56K modem.
We feel for you. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Floppy disks. Today, the floppy disk lives on as the icon you click on when you want to save your file.
Click the Save button. You'll find it on the Quick Access toolbar.
But few kids would actually be familiar with the object itself.
Why panic when you can rely on Maxell Super RD2 floppy disks?
In fact, one viral tweet even wondered why the save icon is a beverage dispenser. Prevalent in the 80s, the floppy disk was the precursor to CDs, memory cards, and flash drives.
They actually call that a floppy disk.
There was the 8-inch, the 5 1/4 inch, and then the 3.5-inch disc, which could hold an astounding 1.44 megabytes of data. That's pretty crazy considering there are thumb drives today that can hold terabytes of information. Maybe in a few years we'll be laughing at our measly terabyte flash drives. Who knows? Do you still come across any of these kid-confusing items these days? Let us know in the comments below.
There's I Love Lucy, The Lucy Show. Here's Lucy.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.